guys, what is up? You may remember a while back I posted a video and an associated sound file. Um, and the goal of this video and the sound file was to try to assist people in reaching the mind awake, body asleep state more easily. And the sound file itself, what it did is it started with binaural beats and some pink noise up in the delta range, and then it would ramp down into the theta frequency range, and then just periodically every 5 or 6 minutes it would ramp back up into a higher frequency. Each time it ramps up, it would ramp up a little bit less, and eventually it would just level off at in the theta range at 4 hertz. And the goal being that if you can dip in and out of sleep over and over again, or in and out of trance over and over again using what's called hypnotic fractionation, eventually that trance or that state becomes deeper and deeper, and you could hopefully just level off right on that threshold of awake and asleep. So that was the goal, that was the intent. And along with that file, I put out the request that if anybody tries this file, and if it works for them, let me know. If it doesn't work, let me know. And even better, if you've got any suggestions on how to improve this file so it becomes more effective, great. And I can take those suggestions and I can put those into subsequent versions and hopefully make this file better and better and more effective. I am happy to say I've gotten all kinds of feedback on it, so that is great. I really appreciate that. A lot of the feedback has just come in the form of this worked really well for me, or this didn't work quite so well for me. But even more helpful, I've actually gotten a lot of suggestions on what people think could be done to make these files work better. So I am actually, my original plan was just to keep one file and just to replace the current file with each subsequent version. But at this point, I'm actually going to release 3 different files for this particular version because the suggestions that I've gotten are just completely different, and they can't coincide in the same sound file, unfortunately. So first of all, I've gotten the request to make the peaks as the frequency raises every 5 or 6 minutes, make them more intense, make the frequency higher, and don't ramp it down quite so quickly. There's a number of people who've mentioned that they make it about halfway through, but as those peaks get lower and lower and lower, they dip into sleep and they don't come back out again. And so just make that transition from those high peaks to lower peaks, just make that a slower, more gradual transition. The second request that I've gotten is to actually make the sound file longer, because some folks who've said, this is starting to work for me, but right about the time I get to these states where my mind is awake, my body really feels like it's starting to fall asleep, I feel that lead blanket feeling, the sound file's over, and it just ruins the experience. So I'm going to double it in length. It's going to be, I believe it's about half an hour long right now. I'm going to have to double check that, but I'm going to make it an hour long, or twice as long as it currently is. And that will be one file. So the second file is something I hadn't even considered originally, and that was somebody reached out and said, hey, can we use this file if we don't have hearing in both ears? And the answer to that would be no, because binaural beats require hearing in both ears in order to hear that fluctuation in tone in your head. So I'm going to make a second file that uses isochronic tones. It'll use the same ramping up of frequency, the same ramping down of frequency, but it's going to use isochronic tones instead of binaural beats, because isochronic tones are just pulsating tones rather than the difference in frequency that causes that wavering. So I'd love it if you would give that a try. In fact, there's actually science behind the fact saying that isochronic tones are more effective, although they are more difficult to relax to than binaural beats are. So definitely give that a try, whether you've got hearing in both ears or not. It would be great to hear feedback on that. All right, so file number 3, the request was to actually just take out those peaks completely and just start up in the delta range, ramp down into the 4 hertz range, and just leave it. And I've gotten 3 different requests for that, and the general idea is that this would be meant more for something like meditation, where you're not trying to do the mind awake, body asleep state, but you want to start at a point where your brain is in this delta range, and then use this frequency following response that your mind does, and use this as a tool to try to help you reach that theta range during meditation, or just during relaxation, where you're not necessarily trying to reach mind awake, body asleep. So those are the 3 variations of the file. I'm going to post all 3 of them at the same time. I think I'm going to leave the previous version up just in case in case that one was working for you, in case you want to compare the new ones against the old ones and say, hey, you really messed this up because it used to be way better. So I'm going to leave it out there just so people can take a look at it still, people can compare, and you can continue to use it if that original file is working for you. So that is it. I look forward to hearing some feedback, and please let me know how they work for you, and definitely keep on sending in suggestions on how to make this better. If we can make this as effective as possible, I think it'll really cut the learning curve that's required to reach some of these states. So, as always, like, comment, subscribe, help me build this community, and I will talk to you guys again soon.